Thank you very much.
Yeah, you're
All right.
welcome. This is Horror Movie Night.
The Horror Movie Night. Welcome to Horror Movie Night. Tonight we're going to be talking about Tromeo and Juliet, a movie with rape and incest. Welcome to Horror Movie Night. Everybody, we love Troma here. We love Lloyd Kaufman, but occasionally, Lloyd, you and James Gunn tend to just produce an 80-minute Mad TV sketch. This is before Slither, and it was before Guardians of the Galaxy, and this is where you go and you learn from your mistakes. So we're going to discuss an entire movie of mistakes. Welcome to Tromeo and Juliet on this week's episode of Horror Movie Night.
So
Yeah.
we
I
just
have a lot of notes about how this movie's terrible.
Matt just met Lloyd and he gave us a big shout out on Twitter where he talked about how he was going to jerk off to our show, and I wrote that intro. I'll take the bullet on that one.
It's a monster penis shaped bullet.
So I know that you guys don't like the movie, which is fine. There's a weird thing about this movie that I have written down, which is that this is both the lowest budgeted Troma film, and it's also the most critically well received Troma film in their history.
That's insane. Like, how is this more critically well received than Toxic? Toxic Avenger.
Timing. It was all about timing. This is the 90s, and this movie feels so very, very fucking 90s.
Oh my god, yeah. Everybody's dressed like a No Doubt video.
Yeah, I think that, and maybe that's the thing that I enjoy about this movie, is that it has a very, and I hate that I'm about to say the next few words, but it has like a very like punk, like this was the beginning of like the Troma punk rock anarchy aesthetic that they became known for in the 90s and early 2000s, where it was just like, we don't give any shits, we don't care who we piss off, we're just gonna fucking make movies and we're gonna make them as vile and disgusting as we want them to be. This was the first movie I ever got through Netflix.
That really says a lot about you, man.
I would love to see Matt's like Netflix listings. Like when you call in and they look at your support and they like see all the movies that you rented, they're like, this fucking guy. It started.
All right, so I've gone
They'd
downhill.
not be able to pin him down though. Like they'd look at it and just say, how many people are on this guy's account?
So let me tell you guys a quick story from San Diego, because I just got back from San Diego Comic-Con. There's nothing
Wait, really?
more yeah, I know. There's nothing more humbling than when you're trying to make a purchase and your card is not working and you have to call your credit card company, and they go, after they go through all the verification things, they go, yes, we just want to make a quick confirmation. Did you just spend $65 at a Full Moon Pictures? And I said, yes, I did. And they're like, and additionally, did you just spend $30 at a Troma Pictures? And I'm like, Troma, yes,
Troma.
that's correct. And they go, and $20 at the Nickelodeon's Children's Magazine.
Oh my god!
And you're just standing there on the phone like, like running down.
Earlier today, did you spend $25 on candy and a copy of Tiger Beat? Was that you?
That was like, we were joking about it because Jonathan's like, they're sitting there like, oh, this can't be right. The records say that this guy's 32 years old.
And if they give you a shit, just be like, age is just a number, man.
Look, man, my friend asked me to get her some Hey Arnold plushie dolls for a kid, and I was like, absolutely.
Yeah. This kid is totally real. Definitely not figment of my
And
imagination.
that
I'm
that
telling
kid's
you
name
now.
was Football Head.
But yes, so Lloyd was extremely excited to see me and Jonathan. Way back when I previously had been going to San Diego Comic Con in like 2010, 2011. Troma was our neighbors every year, so he remembers us from that. And Jonathan had a bunch of short films that played at a bunch of Lloyd's film festivals, so he knows Jonathan really well. So that was why I've always been friendly with Lloyd. He's a really good dude. I love Tromeo and Juliet, but I can absolutely understand why this is either the make it or break it for a lot of people with the with Troma's later pictures. You either watch this and you say, "Man, I really enjoyed this. I think I'm going to watch like Terror Firmer and Poultrygeist and Citizen Toxie," or you watch this and go, I'm just gonna stick with Class of Nukem High and Toxie and call it a day.
Yeah, but if you do make that decision, I implore you to watch Terraformer because it's a million times better than this movie.
The only problem with Terror Firmer though is Terror Firmer is very much like you can't make that your first Troma film. It's way too much of like inside jokes about all of the other films to like work as the
And
first
about
film.
like the film industry in general. And it's got a whole sleepaway camp vibe going on to it.
Yeah, yes, it does. That it does. All right, so let's talk about this movie. It kicks off with a dead squirrel hanging from a noose and Lemmy of Motorhead speaking in rhyme.
Okay, so that my like my very first uh yeah. My very first note is Lemmy lending credence to this pile of crap. But I was like, wait, are they actually going to have this whole movie in iambic pentameter? At first I was like, oh god, please no. And then I thought about it for another second. I was like, that would actually make it pretty sweet. But they
The
didn't.
original
Spoiler
the
alert.
original script was James Gunn's original script was entirely in iambic pentameter,
That would
and
have been amazing.
Lloyd asked him to remove it and only use it in very specific scenes. So it's usually um, part of when the actual origins of Tromeo and Juliet are being told. It's always in iambic pentameter. When we're in the modern day, what's happening in the very now, it's in regular dialogue.
You see, I get that I get that conceptually,
Yeah.
but really it doesn't read correctly when you're watching because you're thinking, why is this in iambic pentameter when the last 20 minutes have been just people talking like jerks?
Yeah.
Everything about this movie comes out of nowhere. Like nothing seems to fit together very well. So having Lemmy do a soliloquy at the beginning of the movie is like fucking whatever. Because later on, we're gonna have a
You think they
guy.
blew their entire budget on Lemmy and the Cock
Well, the
Monster?
cock monster, yes. I bet Lemmy not so much. I think Lemmy just likes Troma movies, so he's like, yeah,
Because Lemmy appears in all of them now.
yeah, like fucking everyone. Well, not anymore because now he's dead. But Lemmy also apparently drank like a bottle of Jack for breakfast every day. So I feel like this day he might have had 2 or 3 breakfasts this morning. Or like, I don't know.
Oh, like the Hobbits, right?
So to answer your question with the penis monster, which is kind of the star of the movie, Lloyd talks about it in his book, Everything I Ever Needed to Know About Filmmaking I Learned from the Toxic Avenger. And in that, he explains that in the original script, it was written that it was going to be like this 7, 8 foot tall, monstrous puppet that was going to bite off Juliet's head and blood was going to spray everywhere. And he kept hyping it up to all the producers, and he was so excited. And he's like, and then I get to set, and they've presented me with a Muppet. He's like, that's
Wait. So basically, what he was trying to do is succeed where Rawhead Rex failed, right?
yeah.
Oh man, that's 2 cock blocks, legitimately.
Yeah, and then in this movie, instead of a priest getting piss in his face, Lloyd just pisses in my face for 90 minutes.
Is this movie 90 minutes long because it feels like an eternity?
It's a little bit longer than 90. It's probably like an hour 45. We get a close up of a nipple being pierced, which is something that I always am reminded I don't need in my life.
Yeah, wait. Let me find my. Yes, it's all okay. So, for everybody listening, Our conversation about this movie for the last 2 months was me, Matt, are you seriously going to pick Tromeo and Juliet? Matt, yeah, it's not nearly as bad as what you think it is. Me, dude, I really don't want to watch Tromeo and Juliet. I've been putting it off for forever. I really don't want to watch it. Matt, dude, just don't be a sourpuss like you were on all my other movies. Me, when have I ever been a sourpuss? Matt, Forbidden Zone. Me, okay, good point. But give me another suggestion. Give me another pick that I was an asshole on. Matt, I don't have another one because I'm a wimp and I'm making stuff up. Me, I'll do my best.
I believe I said Space Invaders, but continue.
Okay. It reads a lot funnier when you sound like a baby. All right. So, but like I gave you many opportunities not to pick this film, and you were adamant that it was going to be a good time and it's going to be a good episode, and you were like so jazzed about it, and I was like, Matt, this is going to be super gross. I don't want to watch it. It makes me feel icky just like thinking about Tromeo and Juliet. And I quote, you said, it's not as gross as you think it is. And then my note right here, all caps, Matt, how is this not gross? I just watched a woman get her nipple pierced close up. Fuck.
So anyway, so we have the
Why?
I actually forgot about that scene. As I was watching, I was like, "Oh man, Scott's not going to be happy."
I will never forget about that scene, and I will never forgive
anyone
you for
watch that and be happy about having seen it. I fucking
yeah, Lloyd, you like us apparently. Explain this. Like, why would you do this to us? We trusted you.
So another one of my notes that I have is I believe that this film has the most attractive Troma cast as well as the most tits in a Troma film.
God, there are so many boobs in this movie. But I also would not necessarily say that, I mean, okay, I will give you the fact that there are a lot of prostitutes in this movie that don't look like drug addicts. Or they don't look like unattractive drug addicts.
Saying,
they look like attractive drug addicts.
Some of the slam hogs that have made it into other Troma.
Matt, like I appreciate your use of the term slam hogs, but I don't really think that you would throw any of them out of bed. Like, you have no place criticizing the women that show up in the Troma movies.
Not complaining. I'm just saying that they are definitely more attractive in this and maybe Return to Nukem High, and then a lot of the other ones.
Well, let's like just assume that Return to Nukem High doesn't exist at this point.
Yeah.
So yes, Tromeo and Juliet has the most attractive cast. That said, there are some extraordinarily unattractive people in this film. None of which are apparently related to James Gunn, which was a real surprise for me because his brother is a very attractive man as well. I spoiler alert, watched Guardians of the Galaxy 2. I was going to talk about it in What Did We Watch. His brother is quite unattractive.
Yeah, his brother's in this though.
He is? I didn't recognize him.
Yeah, he's the one who gets his head smashed into the fire hydrant.
Oh, which is super gnarly, by the way.
That's like one of the best parts in the movie, I think. That scene's fucking dope. And it's like, yeah, that's Sean Gunn.
I didn't recognize him. I'm glad it's not just me.
Yeah.
I feel like
that's his brother. He puts his brother in pretty much
bulked up since this fucking movie.
Which is not saying much because he still probably weighs as much as me soaking wet in 2017.
But like that scene, I want to talk about that scene real quick. We'll jump back in time in a second. But like that scene for me is one of the more uncomfortable scenes in a Troma film. It's a really gnarly scene, but like the performance that Sean Gunn puts in there where he's like trying to put his brains back into his head and stuff is so unsettling and like disturbing that part really bugs me.
Like that, and then it's gonna cut to like Tromeo, meeting Juliet, and that's really lovely. And then it's gonna cut to a penis monster, but then it's gonna cut to soliloquies about how they want to be together and love each other.
And then it cuts to the weird sex dream with the maggots inside of the stomach.
You can't. It's fucking gross. They're two completely different. They're fucking opposite and magnets that should not attract. Troma and fucking Shakespeare. What the fuck? Who thought of this idea? James Gunn. That's who. Fuck you, James Gunn. Fuck.
This movie feels like one half of it is a sincere attempt at a Romeo and Juliet movie, and the other half is an Apex Twins music video.
I think you're giving it way too much credit because Apex Twins is way higher budget. Like 3 minutes of Apex Twins is way higher budget than an hour and 45 of Troma.
This is more like that Korn video that Korn tried to put out that included someone actually eating human shit. It's more like that video, that banned Korn music video. Yeah.
What?
Wait, that was I didn't know that was a thing.
Are you talking about Korn or are you talking about Nine Inch Nails? Because like there was that one about like that one like quote unquote snuff video that they did in that Trent Reznor did in the 90s.
Oh,
and
I can't.
I never saw it, but people talked about it.
Yeah, I think it's Broken. It was called
The Broken video. Yeah. Adam's got to do some research.
He's like, I'll be back.
I'm not even bothering Googling that shit. I don't give a shit.
You don't want that in your browser.
Are you just thinking that it's corn because sometimes there's corns in your poop and you're getting really confused?
Yeah, it was like
they don't have corn up in Canada.
It was like an automatic word association. We're pretty close to Nebraska. We get corn.
So I have one quote in this movie. Actually, I wrote 2 quotes down from this movie, but the one I completely forgot about because I haven't watched this movie in like 5 or 6 years. I used to watch this movie all the time. I subjected a lot of friends in college to this movie.
And you wonder why you're alone.
Yeah, but it was the quote where Tromeo wakes up his dad, and his dad just goes, "I was having myself a dream about cows." And then it starts what ends up being like there's a weird theme where cows just keep popping up throughout the movie after that point. Like his dad says that, and then Tromeo's at a costume party dressed as a cow, and the one guy's a butcher, so there's all this stuff with that. And then Juliet is turned into a mutant cow. Like there's.
So does that happen in real, I mean, quote unquote, real life in this movie? Like I don't want to really talk too much about that scene, but I don't know if it's because I fast forwarded it a little bit, just tiny little bit,
Yeah.
guys. But like, what is real and what is not real in this movie? Like, does she really get changed into
the ending with the mutant children
So
as they look there? As far as I'm concerned,
Yeah.
that's the real ending of the movie is they're together. They've got the mutant kids. So, however they're looking in that scene, I forget.
Well, the cow thing is instead of having them take a potion that would kill them, she took a potion that would make her unattractive to the guy that she was supposed to marry. So it mutated her temporarily into a cow creature. But then True Love's kiss returned her to her original form.
God, this movie's so you had a quote there. I have a quote for you. So you mentioned Romeo's dad, and I have a note that it's so funny that Romeo's dad is black. It's just hilarious. And then he's a fart monster, so that just makes it even funnier. The guy that did Spookies probably fucking loves this movie and watches it more often than you do. So his dad apparently has to speak an iambic pentameter for about like literally one sentence, which that's what I'm saying is your whole suggestion that when they're talking about the relationship, it's in iambic pentameter, but everything else is modern. I don't think that really gels because I have a quote, "Wherefore art thou Romeo?" It doesn't mean where are you. Wherefore art thou Romeo means why are you named Romeo? Why are you a Montague? And therefore, like, I cannot be with you because our families are at war. That's the whole point of the original Shakespearean quote is, "Wherefore art thou Romeo?" As in, why are you in that family that we are at war with? Not, where are you? I can't see you. Show me your location. And it just bugged the shit out of me. But then there's a bunch of boobs in the next
another
section,
episode of Things You Should Know. This week we did English 101 Lit. I hope you all enjoyed yourselves.
Apparently, James Gunn didn't take that class.
The other quote that I have written down is a quote from my favorite Troma actor. I believe this was his second role in a Troma film, Joe Flyshaker, who is no longer with us, but he played the...
Is he the massively fat dude that's in every Troma
Yeah, the
movie?
massively fat saxophone operator. And the quote that I wrote is he goes, "That's right, we're having major sex right now.
By the way, Tromeo's masturbation scene was the saddest thing I've ever seen. Seriously, like that guy is too. He should have actually gotten an award for how realistic that was. I actually thought that I was watching Matt when he got home from 10 days in California.
It's this, if I recall, because I watched this before. The last time I watched this was before I left for California. But if I recall correctly, the porn that he's watching isn't even like so much that it's sexy. It's like it's just topless girls talking about how they want to like hang out and talk to you, right?
She says like, "Don't you love me?" or something like that. He's like,
Yeah,
"I love
yeah.
you."
I think that's partially in his imagination as well. Like he's such like a noble guy that the porn that he would watch, or like I don't know. It's so weird. I hate. Okay.
Hey, listen. There's nothing wrong with enjoying Passion HD, all right?
I'm sorry. I'm more of an allinternal.com kind of guy.
Yes, man, we got back to our sponsorship. Sweet. So here's a commentary that I wanted to make. The sexy cook at the beginning, like the lesbian sexy cook, is really creepy.
Yeah.
She's like, I'm guessing that she's supposed to be older and more experienced than Juliet. And so she's basically taking advantage of this adolescent girl and making her eat her out, right? Because she's like, "Oh, you should just be a lesbian." And she's like, "But I have feelings for men." And she's like, "You'll get over it." It's fucked up. But so the that is creepy, but also it's disturbing that her tattoos look like they came out of a 5-cent vending machine. They look like the kind that you lick and put on your arm. And I'm guessing they were, because that would really fall in line with the budget that they had for Tromeo and Juliet. But then I'm pretty sure, and I don't want to be told I'm wrong here, so let's just agree to disagree, that "et tu blowjob" is a line in this film. Is that correct?
I believe so.
Jesus Christ.
Let's see. I'm like looking at some of the facts here. James Gunn was paid $150 for the screenplay. And the actress who plays Juliet's nurse is actually a year younger than her in real life. Fun fact.
That's fine. It's just like how we watch all those slasher flicks and all the high schoolers are 25.
Here we go. For many years, from the film's release, moviegoers... Yeah, all of the tattoos are fake except for one. And she pierced her belly button from the start of the film so that she could see what it was like to have it done for character work during her romantic scenes between her.
Yeah. I totally went down on a bunch of girls because it was character work. Like,
and then here's the only other moderately interesting fact in here is the scene in which London Arbuckle dives through a window caused the stuntman nearly to die. When he first jumped through the window, the sugar glass was too thick to break, so they just took the glass out, and the stuntman forgot that there wasn't anything there and dove at full force.
Jesus Christ.
But he was all right.
Well, I guess you can never... Yeah, you can never accuse that guy of being, a Rhodes Scholar.
Troma has this weird thing. We were talking about like the lesbian thing and all that stuff. They have this weird thing where I think that they think it's going to be funny, but it actually always just comes off as gross and like disturbing and kind of turns your stomach a little bit. Like with those lesbian jokes at the beginning and with like the popcorn scene and stuff. Like it's all stuff that probably on the day of they're all like not taking it very seriously and yucking it up. And then you get it in the editing room and you're like, God damn it, what the fuck have we done? Like,
but they got to keep it because they need an hour and a half or more runtime.
Well, fucking Lloyd's not going back and reshooting anything, right? So fucking, of course we got to keep it. We fucking don't have a choice.
Yeah. Here's the thing. So piggybacking off of what Adam just said, this is just so boring. Like, it's gross and boring. And I find that this is the way I feel about most Troma. Sorry, Lloyd, but like I appreciate the whole point of schlock cinema, and I get what the social and emotional impact they're supposed to have is. And they're supposed to be counterculture and like anti-movies. But how is this so boring? There's an hour and 45 minutes of material here, and I was bored or grossed out at all times. So, but then right after that note
Because
that I
so
have,
much of it is just bad dialogue.
yeah, there's so much talking in this movie. And on that note, here's a quote. There's Shakespearean prose, and then I quote, "I'm gonna go jerk off in my hand and swish it around in the punch bowl." That's actually not a half bad line, but the delivery is so shitty that it's just not funny.
Yeah, the actor who plays Murray is like hamming it up way too fucking much.
But this movie's like a lot of slapstick anyway, and you guys know I very much dislike all things slapstick.
Have you seen?
So I didn't like.
Did you see what the soundtrack was for this movie? By the way, because this was one of the like, I feel like this was one of the soundtracks that they probably invested the most money in obtaining semi-notable bands for.
No.
So you got Motorhead on there, obviously.
Which was free.
The Ass Ponies did a song. The Wesley Willis Fiasco did a song for the soundtrack.
Free.
Superchunk Sublime wrote a song specifically for the movie.
What?
And Unsane did one of the songs in the movie.
I don't know, man.
Yeah.
What song was the Sublime song?
I Am Romeo.
Yeah.
Wow, that's a terrible Sublime song.
But hey, it's Sublime.
And then, there was this other fact that I find funny. The lead singer of the Ass Ponies requested a check from the company for $9.95 for the purpose of framing it on his wall. Lloyd stated that as soon as he found out that was the purpose, he also canceled the check.
Two things. One, new rule, no more Troma. And second thing, they couldn't pay for air conditioning in this movie.
Dude, everyone looks
because
sweaty
everyone
as
is
fuck.
so sweaty. It's like, why? Why are they, like, at least they were well hydrated, I guess.
And I can't remember if this is the first or second film to utilize the infamous car crash, but there is a car crash that has been used in every single Troma film since.
That's funny because I said they have no money for actors, but they always at least have one car crash.
Yeah, they just kept building around that car crash.
So many movies already. Like, of course they had used it 20 times at this point.
So the one last thing that I have to throw in there real quick is, did you guys catch James Gunn's cameo in the movie as well?
No.
He is the father in the car singing the "I Found Myself a Peanut" song before they get in a car crash when the head falls on their window.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, it's nothing too crazy. Apparently, Ron Jeremy also shot a cameo, but they did not use it. So there was at least one scene that ended up on the cutting room floor.
All right, we've given 30 minutes of our lives to this movie. Can we move on to something else? Yeah, please, for the love of God.
Like horror movies? Like wrestling? Check out the Gore Horseman podcast. Each week, we pick a month and year and review the world of horror and wrestling at that time. From slashers to suplexes, vampires to Vicky Guerrero, the Gore Horseman podcast covers it all. Check us out on Twitter, @Gore Horseman Pod, or find us on iTunes, Stitcher, and SoundCloud.
Please, Adam, why don't you tell me what you've been watching this week? I want you to just go.
Let's rattle this off. So it's been like 3 weeks since we recorded, right?
Basically.
Yeah. Okay. So Olive Glow, Preacher, Game of Thrones. I watched a couple of movies. I watched Kong Skull Island. Do you guys remember the other ones when I sent you that list? That was so long ago. I watched so many fucking things consecutively.
You sent us.
I don't remember getting a list at all.
Yeah. So I watched a lot of stuff. New Game of Thrones is great. That's all. I'm
done. Scott, what did you watch?
All right. So since I'm guessing, well, let's just assume that the No One Lives episode isn't complete garbage. So Let's just assume that the Glow conversation is on there. But I watched all of Iron Fist after much deliberation because people they were like, it's the worst of all the Netflix Marvel shows. Actually, I liked it better than Luke Cage, and I think I liked it almost or as much as Jessica Jones. I mean, it would be better than Jessica Jones if Jessica Jones hadn't had David Tennant in it. But Iron Fist was great, and here is the reason why people hate it. They hate it because he's a kung fu master that doesn't know kung fu. I like it because I don't like kung fu and ninjas, but it's not a make or break for me because I don't care to watch people do kung fu on TV. That was actually my least favorite part about Buffy when I used to watch Buffy. So it actually worked out well for me. It was entertaining. I liked the angle that they had for the character of Iron Fist. I felt like the ending was a bit abrupt, and I also felt like it was less about villains and more about kind of character development, which is it's a mixed bag, but I really enjoyed it. So I mean, I'd say definitely if you are on the fence about watching Iron Fist because you heard negative things, if you aren't a crazy kung fu fanatic, you'll probably have a good time. But that said, I also watched Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2. It is hilarious. I mean, no Guardians of the Galaxy is going to be as good or funny as the first one, but I thoroughly, thoroughly enjoyed Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2. And I actually thought Drax was a lot funnier in this movie. Like, so far, in his two films in the Marvel Cinematic Universe, he has gotten funnier, and so I'm positive that they'll have the Guardians in the Infinity War movie that's going to come out next year, I think it is. And so I'm assuming that he's going to be even funnier in that, which is cool because Dave Bautista. I mean, I don't really care about wrestling, as everyone knows, but I think that he is just a really charming dude.
Yeah, he is insanely funny in at least the first one. I still haven't seen Volume 2, but I will get to it soon.
Well, that was a spoiler-free explanation. Like, I assume that movie didn't get as many eyeballs as I would have expected it to get. And I think that it really coincided with the time it was released, like calendar-wise, because the reason that we didn't see it earlier is because we chose to see Wonder Woman in theaters instead of Guardians. And then we caught it at a dollar theater. We caught Guardians at a dollar theater. So, for us, though, like, we don't really go to the movies a lot because it's a real fucking hassle. Like, I don't like going out and dealing with other people in a movie theater because oftentimes they're going to be loud and they're going to talk and they're going to yell, and especially if it's a movie like that's quasi-comedy like Guardians of the Galaxy. So I avoided that because I knew that we were going to go see Wonder Woman, and because Megan was like super amped to go see Wonder Woman. She loves Guardians of the Galaxy, but she was way more excited about Wonder Woman because it's a female character and it's something that she's been waiting to see. And I already talked about how amazing that film was. I don't think actually I talked about it on the podcast, but I did say in the group that we both loved that movie.
All right. And I will go over two quick things that I watched during my California adventure. The first thing that I watched was a Steven Seagal film called Belly of the Beast. I saw this because a coworker had continuously told me, "You like So Bad It's Good movies. This is the worst So Bad It's Good movie." And I thought, impossible. No. It was possible. Not only did I watch it with my coworker and love it, I then immediately spent the $1.50 to get a used copy on Amazon to take with me to California, and I watched it with Jonathan and his brother Paul. And it was the best night humanly possible. We could not stop laughing. The concept of the movie is that Steven Seagal, at his absolute fattest, is
his absolute status
is in Thailand. So you've got 7 foot, 350 pounds Steven Seagal just boredly wandering through fucking Thailand. But it's all like wire work kung fu with Steven Seagal, so it's like him just gliding on the floor and like doing these elaborate kung fu moves, but he just looks bored and confused. Like, it looks like a parody of an action film, but you can tell that they're being sincere. At one point, he sideways explodes out of the side of a train while shooting two guns simultaneously, but again, it's a 350-pound Steven Seagal doing it. He never takes off his kimono. John started to refer to him as the Kung Fu couch because he just looked like a piece of furniture like everywhere he went. We were fucking dying. If you can find a copy of it, it's super cheap online. Buy it. Get a pizza. Get some friends and some beers over. I promise you are going to have a good evening with Belly the Beast. Then, while we were waiting to set up the booth at San Diego Comic-Con, a friend of ours, Heidi, told me that she had a copy. She brought a copy of a movie that she wanted me to watch, and it was the first film she ever acted in, and it was a film called Serial. And she was like, "It is the worst horror movie I've ever seen." Which, again, it's like
and you helped make it.
Yeah, it was like one of those like, I've seen some pretty bad horror movies. Let's give this a shot. And holy fucking shit, this movie is atrociously bad. We had a blast watching it in the hotel room. We never stopped laughing. There will be a bonus episode probably by next week where John, Heidi, and I sat down and discussed this movie and discussed with her what it was like to be an actress in this movie. We're doing it as a bonus episode because it is physically impossible to find a copy of this movie. But because of the excitement level that we had discussing it, I sent her the interview. She has sent it to the director of the movie to convince him that he needs to make it readily available on the internet so that other people can enjoy what was a failed attempt at a good movie at one point in his life. So stay tuned for that bonus episode, and absolutely stay tuned for when I post the link to this movie. All I'll say is that I made 3 joking predictions on who the killer was in the movie, and all 3 of them were right. So, all right. That's all I have. So, that was Tromeo and Juliet from, I want to say, 1996, directed by Lloyd Kaufman.
Yeah, surprisingly. Surprisingly, much later in the 90s than one would expect.
You look at it and think like 91, maybe 92 at the latest.
Yep.
As you can tell, we weren't like the world's biggest fans of it, but hey, it happens, I guess, sometimes. I loved it, but I love a lot of shit. But you can tell us about some shit that you liked that none of your friends enjoyed by sending us an email at hmnpodcast@gmail.com. And there is a spot where you can go and you can find all of the Horror Movie Night episodes, every single one of them, including bonus episodes and retroactive episodes. I hope you enjoyed the retroactive episodes. You can check them out at hmnpodcast.com, made by our very own Stephen Bay. Thank you so much, Stephen Bay. I owe you a couple mouth hugs.
E2 blowjob.
We will be back next week. Thank you for dealing with all of the craziness over the last month or so as we've tried to work out audio issues and people moving and me doing conventions that took me away from everything for 2 weeks. You guys have been awesome and patient, and we are eternally grateful for that. So tune in next week. We'll be back. Bye.
You're listening to the Geekscape Network.